Tuesday, California's big projects face a litigation minefield. Gavin Newsom and President Trump will have to figure it out, and a star with staying power. The sign up yesterday, my colleagues Thomas Fuller, Jennifer Medina and Connor Doherty took a hard look at the future of America's infrastructure projects, like California's high-speed rail. More specifically, are projects that big even possible anymore, given the cost and regulation? In California, that regulation has reached notoriously Byzantine heights and is epitomized in 4 letters, CEQA. Connor explains how that happened. The rapidly escalating cost of California's high-speed rail project has led to a loss of political support and cast a cloud over its prospects, raising big questions about America's ability to take on big projects as it once did. The train's problems also highlight a paradox here and across the nation: it's often hardest to build in the populated areas where investment is needed most. For those trying to carry out such projects in California, nothing is more daunting than the California Environmental Quality Act, or CEQA, signed by Governor Ronald Reagan in 1970. The statute has become a widely used legal tool for delaying or stopping public works projects from the massive to the micro, even, until recently, those designating bike lanes. And those cases can pit environmental objections against environmental goals. It is widely agreed in California that new housing and infrastructure should be built in and around population centers, to curb sprawl, to cut down on driving, and to help the state meet its ambitious goals to reduce carbon dioxide emissions. But lawsuits filed under the Environmental Quality Act have often taken aim at just such projects. According to a 2015 study, about 80% of the environmental lawsuits filed in California over a 3-year period were targeted at infill developments in already populated areas. Housing and infrastructure projects accounted for more than half. The complaints can be brought on any number of environmental grounds, like the dust and noise generated or the impact on views. Several years ago, a proposal to add passenger trains to a cargo rail line already in use was challenged on the grounds that it would lead to additional squealing and grease strippage. In the case of the high-speed rail project, designed to link the Central Valley with the Bay Area and Los Angeles, a CEQA lawsuit by the Silicon Valley enclave of Atherton challenged whether the rail authority had adequately studied the engineering of the train's route. That case ultimately failed, but even fighting litigation adds to a project's cost and can often delay it. The rail project has been challenged on other legal grounds as well, including its adherence to the terms of a bond issue financing it. Increased investment in roads, bridges and power plants has won support across party lines. But as California's experience illustrates, talk about big projects is easy. Routing them around legal landmines is hard. My colleague Lisa Learer talked to Governor Gavin Newsom about his relationship with President Trump for the On Politics newsletter. The takeaway? Mr. Newsom can talk tough, but he still has to figure out how to work with the administration. The New York Times. What do plans to scale back high-speed rail mean for Kern County and for Bakersfield's economic development plans? Reactions have been mixed among local stakeholders and lawmakers who represent the southern Central Valley. Here's an in-depth conversation. KGET. Jeff Adaki, the only elected public defender in the state and a well-known criminal justice advocate in San Francisco, died suddenly last week. Here are some of his highest-profile fights, which span decades. The San Francisco Chronicle. You're not just getting more sensitive, it's actually been the coldest February in Los Angeles since 1962. The National Weather Service. Still, in general, the climate is getting warmer. Which means that even indoor workplaces will have to start figuring out ways to keep employees cool. KQED. It's supposed to rain a lot again in the Bay Area. The atmospheric river is back. The Mercury News. After a San Francisco private equity firm acquired MindBody, the fitness class booking platform based in San Luis Obispo, for $1.9 billion on Christmas Eve, its chief executive went silent about whether the company would move. Finally, he put the speculation to rest, for now. We're deeply committed to the community, he said recently. The San Luis Obispo Tribune. The Securities and Exchange Commission wants Elon Musk to be held in contempt of court for a tweet in which the agency said Mr. Musk published erroneous information about Tesla's production goals. The New York Times. A maybe-mouthed message from Spike Lee to Samuel L. Jackson at the Oscars shined an unwanted spotlight on the practice of tanking in the NBA, which is when teams, like, say, Mr. Lee's beloved Knicks, are bad on purpose so they can get a better spot in the draft. The New York Times. Frank Gehry, who designed Los Angeles's iconic Walt Disney Concert Hall, is turning 90. He talks about continuing to work at a breakneck pace. The office is just busy, and we're all struggling to keep up with it, the Los Angeles Times. After the glitz of the Academy Awards, there are usually some figures from the awards season that stick with you, I hope, as do, it seems, a lot of other people who saw Roma, that Yalitza Aparicio is one of them. She's the star of Alfonso Cuarón's film revisiting the Mexico City of his childhood through the lens of the domestic worker who raised him. And while Ms. Aparicio is worshipped in her Oaxacan hometown, her status as a barrier-breaking woman of indigenous descent from Mexico has won her fans in the U.S., and in California especially. But Ms. Aparicio, even after being nominated for an Oscar, has said she's not sure she'll continue acting. Either way, she said, she wants to be a force for positive change, not an exception. I realized that film can educate people of all ages, in a far-reaching way, she said.